The Last Kingdom first aired on BBC Two in 2015 and is currently in its 5th season. It has gone from strength to strength, and the historical fiction drama based on the life of Uhtred, which is chronicled in Bernard Cornwell's The Saxon Stories, is now streaming exclusively on Netflix. With the most recent season dropping earlier this month, today we're discussing that season 5 finale and what it means for the show, so don't go anywhere. First of all, let's have a quick recap of how season 5 finished. The last episode in the 5th season, which was directed by John East, saw Edward watch in horror as his men were boiled alive. Constantine comes up with a plan to get Edward to fight, which should prove catastrophic for the Saxons, whilst Uhtred has Hild take Aethelwyn to the beach to meet up with Father Perlin. Edward falls for the plan hook, line and sinker, with some of his men massacred by the Scots from behind, while also being attacked by Constantine from the front. Many men die, while Uhtred embraces his dual nationality to form an alliance with Danes to ensure they have homes in England, and suddenly the tables are turned on the Scots, who begin to fall after Edward and his men push back from the cliffs. But Edward is heavily wounded. Uhtred looks for Witgar, whilst Aethelstan forces Aethelhelm to confess to his meddling behavior, but he takes the coward's way out by killing himself. Once Uhtred finds Witgar, he skewers him on the candelabra on his own dining table, but Bebbanburg is in ruins once he comes back outside, having been burnt down. In ashes, Uhtred and Constantine negotiate peace, while Edward actually thanks Uhtred for coming to his aid. However, the good times are short-lived for Edward, as he realizes Constantine has taken back his lands and Northumbria is to remain shared between England and Scotland. Uhtred then tells Edward he will never be the man to unite the country, before hailing Bebbanburg as his own people who chant his name. So what does this all mean for the show? Well, Bebbanburg is back in the limelight in season 5, and it has been a while since Uhtred took his ancestral home back from Uncle Alfred. Throughout the season, we saw Aethelhelm maneuver the settlement into his own hands, using it as his base, which is where he hatches the plan to wed Aethelwyn to Constantine, against her own will, which was pretty standard back then. Obviously, he has his own best interest at heart, as it would bring great wealth, but King Edward obviously isn't happy, sending our man Uhtred off to rescue her. But due to Uhtred bringing a pretty hefty crew with him, he's quickly detected inside the fortress. We then see Haysten sacrifice himself, but King Edward is quickly on hand to save the day, despite some people claiming he shouldn't, as it could all go badly. And it very nearly does, as Edward is backed up toward the edge of a cliff, but Uhtred comes to his rescue. After all this, we see the truce and Uhtred kill Witgar, but what does all this mean going forward? Well, it certainly sets up the reported movie very nicely. Unfortunately though, season 5 will be the last, so we will be super interested to see which direction they go with the movie. What about the movie then? Let's discuss. So we know The Last Kingdom ends on a slightly strange note, and although battles have been won and it all seems like everything will be fine now in Bebbanburg, Uhtred is now back to his spiritual home, seemingly coming full circle. There is a truce in place, but as we know, these things never last very long, and the peace between King Constantine of Scotland and King Edward of Wessex is fragile to say the least. Both of these guys see the land in question as theirs by right, so we think this could be the conflict that will be the overriding theme in Seven Kings Must Die, which is the name of the upcoming movie. Uhtred's third child, Osbert, who has been conspicuous in his absence from the latter seasons of the show, is reintroduced at the end of the season, so it is probably to be expected that he plays a significant role in the movie. However, as we know, Uhtred has a slightly patchy record when it comes to parenting, so it will be interesting to see what happens in regards to Osbert. We also saw a ton of deaths in season 5, so we don't know who exactly will end up in the movie, but maybe a few of the past characters will come back in flashback form. Of course, we can expect Uhtred to appear, and probably his children, as well as long-term collaborators Finan and Sithric. What do you guys make of the upcoming movie? Let us know below. When can we expect to see Seven Kings Must Die then? Stay tuned to find out. Well, we know that The Last Kingdom movie began production back in January of this year, and some people have even suggested that we could see the film by the end of this year, which would be some turnaround. However, we think a more realistic release date would be sometime next year, and probably in the first or second quarter. The film will be directed by longtime show collaborator Edward Bazalgette, who also wrote some episodes for the show, and Bazalgette himself was given us us a cheeky glimpse into what the movie could be about, saying, "We did know there was a few more books following on from where we get to at the end of the season 5, so we did start to talk to Netflix fairly early about whether we could tell the end piece of the jigsaw puzzle so that it would feel complete. And it was felt that the movie version was the right format to do that. Season 5 does feel like the end of the TV series, and the movie will be much more standalone. It will be an extra treat for the fans of the TV series, but you could also watch it even if you've never seen the TV show. It has also been rumored that we will find out where Ostbert has been for the past couple of seasons, which fans will be dying to know. What do you guys think the movie will be about? Let us know your thoughts below. So why was the show canceled then? Stick around to hear all about that. As we know, season 5 was the last season, which is pretty good these days for a Netflix show. But why was it canceled? Well, the show follows the story laid out in the books by Bernard Cornwell, of which there are 10 books, and each season of The Last Kingdom tells the story of 2 of these books. So simple math tells us that the story has come to its natural conclusion. The announcement that the show wouldn't be continuing past season 5 caused concern amongst fans, as there are now another 3 books. But they should be covered quite nicely within a movie. 7 Kings Must Die. And it was revealed that there were only 5 seasons planned all along from the start. Star of the show Alexander Draymond said, "When we started shooting the show, there were 10 books that Bernard Cornwell had written, and we had structured the show in a way that season 5 was always going to be the last season." And the show's producer, Nigel Marchant, revealed that although the 5th season does conclude the series, there was always one more story they wanted to tell. However, the story won't completely follow on from the series, as apparently it will be a standalone movie. There must be some sort of follow-on though, surely. Marchant also said that they spoke to Netflix fairly early on once they learned of the new books, to try and figure out how best to tell the remaining part of the story. We're discussing Alexander Draymond's directorial debut now. The 2nd episode of the most recent season of The Last Kingdom saw the star of the show, Alexander Draymond, get behind the camera for the first time. The show returned after nearly 2 years recently, thanks again COVID, and Draymond opened up about his first experience on the other side of the camera. He spoke how grateful he was at being given the opportunity by the production company Carnival and thanked them for placing their trust in him. He went on to say, "It's a huge production with a lot of moving parts, very technical aspects, and I spent as much time in front of the camera as I did behind the camera, so I was definitely thrown in at the deep end, but I'm completely in love with it. I'm just so grateful to have been able to do it. There's just no way of knowing the breadth of the director's responsibilities and what it means to carry the weight of that unless you do it. And I thought I knew, but I really had no idea." And if you've seen the episode, you will be aware of what a great job he did. He finished off by explaining how it gave him a newfound honor and respect for the profession, and that he will now go out of his way to be more helpful when it comes to directors. As always, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a solid and share today's video with any The Last Kingdom fans you know of? Adios, amigos.